Today we celebrate somehow the intuition of our founding fathers and mothers. And let me add mothers, because we also always refer to the founding fathers, and we forget that there were many women, sometimes in the shadow, that contributed to build our Europe. The Europe they knew back 60 years ago was a devastated continent. It was a dark continent, the place where the greatest tragedy in human history had just taken place. But they decided to change the course of history. They realized that war in Europe was not inevitable, that it wasn't simply a fact of life, but things had to be done in a different way. They chose, so for Europe, a different path. They knew that Europe could be a different place, a continent that would export peace and stability instead of exporting war, as we did as Europeans for thousands of years. So after 60 years and so many achievements, let us keep in mind one simple message only from 1957. Europe is what you make of it, and light come. There is nothing inevitable about our future. The people of Europe have a choice. That's democracy. Don't ever trust those who tell you that Europe is doomed to failure. Only 9 months ago, exactly 9 months ago, after the referendum in the UK, everybody was betting that many other countries were to follow immediately. And tomorrow we recommit to our common future. I know all the limits we have. But we are reinvesting in our union today, and tomorrow even more. I think we don't have to trust those that tell us that the European Union will never work because it's too slow, too big, or too bureaucratic. I think the European Union works simply if we make it work, because the European Union, it's us, including us, Socialists, Democrats, Progressives. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to make the case for Europe. We must make the rational case, and we must make a passionate case for Europe. Rational, first of all. For my generation, the European Union is the dream of a finally unified continent. The fall of the Berlin Wall, Europe without borders, freedom of travel, a single currency for many of us, and same rights for all. It's the Erasmus, the most successful European project ever that we have to continue support. The discovery that we are, yes, all different, and yet all Europeans. The European Union for us, my generation, has been a gift and a luxury. In today's world, a fragile, difficult world, with big threats and big powers, a united Europe is a need, a necessity, a must. There are forces in today's Europe and in today's world saying they want to bring sovereignty back to the national level. Well, let me tell you something. The only way to give sovereignty back to the people in Europe is through the European Union. And the only answer to our citizens' anxieties and also to their aspirations and their dreams is a European Union that is strong enough to be relevant in the world. No single European in the world of today, in the globalized world of today, has the power, the strength, the size to go alone. We are strong only if we are together. So it's a must, it's a necessity, it's a need. This is true on security, this is true on managing our cities and our borders. This is true when it comes to our defense, where we need to spend most of all more effectively, and we can do that together, investing in new economies of scale, joining forces to stabilize our region and the world, because when we act together with our European operations or with our joint humanitarian programs, our combined diplomatic strength, our potential has no competition in the world. We are by far, everywhere in the world, the first humanitarian donor, the first development investor, the first diplomatic power, the first trade partner, the first, this will be also true after the Brexit, the first market in the world. So when I say we are a global power, that's what our friends and partners in the world see. The point is, not all Europeans realize how strong we are. And if you don't realize the strength you have, you don't use it, and you lose it. So we have to be aware of what we have and how to use it. The answer also to the imbalances and the inequalities that are produced by globalization is also a European answer. It is not isolation. That is an illusion. Isolation cannot solve any of the problems of our citizens. It can only make it worse. If we really want to protect our citizens, to give our firms better opportunities to grow, including the small ones, if we want to support our products, we need to engage outside our borders as a union. When we talk to China, to the United States, to the rising powers of today's world, we are much stronger if we talk with them together as Europeans. We are much stronger if we negotiate together as the biggest market in the world, as a global economic power, as a force for not only a free, but also a fair trade. Of course, some other powers in the world would prefer to negotiate with small national states, with little leverage and little bargaining power. But that is not our interest. And I think we have to be realistic and pragmatic in today's world. It is not European citizens' interest to have a union that is disunited or disgregated, facing the difficult times of globalization. But as a union of 500 million people, we can be not only stronger, not only protecting our citizens, but also a rule setter of the global economy. And the global economy needs to be settled by rules, because the rules are not a constraint for one, they are the guarantee for all. And I think this is a basic concept of our political family. We can push for better protection of workers, higher standards on food safety, a stronger recognition of our traditional products, and more opportunities for our jobs. And finally, the answer to migration and human mobility can only be a European answer. We are a union, as I said, of 500 million people. We are one of the greatest world economy, and we must say it loud and clear. We must say it loud and clear, because nobody else will do that. Together, we have the strength to welcome the people knocking at our door. We have the strength to do it, and we have the responsibility to say it in Europe as a family. But together, and only together as a union, we can also work with our partners, first of all in Africa. This is what we're doing. Investing, creating job opportunities in the African continent, fighting the criminal networks that are making money out of the desperation of people, and so many women and children dying not only in the sea but also in the desert, financing criminal organizations. This is also a responsibility we have as a political family, to dismantle the criminal networks that are making money on people's lives. We can make sure, as Europeans, as progressives, as socialists and democrats, that everyone's right to dignity is always, always guaranteed and respected in Europe and outside of Europe. This is the rational case for Europe. But this is only one side of the coin. This is the European project that we need, but we need also to invest in the passionate case for Europe. The need of Europe, the necessity of Europe will not be enough without the dream of Europe. The rational case for Europe has to go together with the passion, the dream that our political family can put in it. And we, the European progressives, the socialists and the democrats, we can only be in the front line in making this passionate case. Personally, I suffer when I see that we are a little bit shy in making this passionate case for our union. Because we are the party of Altiero Spinelli, who dreamt of a united continent as the only way for peace and for the prosperity of the working classes. We are the party of Jacques Delors, who had the courage to challenge every conservatism and advance the European project. We are the party of Willy Brandt, who in the middle of the Cold War, imagined the European Union of peace and security that would finally bring together the East and the West, and unify our continent. And we are the party, we've seen it today, of Giorgio Napolitano, that for entire life has fought for a modern, social, and united Europe, a Europe that could finally be a global force for good. And I would always thank him for his leadership and his dedication to this. So we have great fathers and mothers, a great history. By the way, about the mothers, the inventor of Erasmus is an Italian woman. I'm very proud of mentioning this because sometimes the mothers are a little bit hidden, but are there behind any great thing we have. We have great fathers and mothers, a great history we can be proud of, but at the same time, we, being the progressives, can never be satisfied to just look at the past. Policies that were right maybe 10 or 20 or 30 years ago might not be right today. And I think we, as progressive, must recognize this and change ourselves. Because our world changes fast, our societies changes fast, and we must bring our history and our ideals into this new era. Make sure they still speak to the men and women of today, and they listen to them. Making sure that our discourse is recognizable to their ears. We must focus on the great opportunities of globalization, but make sure that no one is left behind. Protect. We must remove the obstacles that block innovation and growth and provide a safety net for all those who are struggling. I believe we are the party of the yes we can, that we shouldn't forget also that there is another America out there. And I am sure that we are also the party of the yes we care of everybody in our society, leaving no one behind. We are those who believe that the best is yet to come, not because we believe that progress is inevitable, on the contrary. It requires hard work, and Pierre and I do a lot of this hard work every day, but because Europe is what we make of it, and we trust our own sense of direction, our own determination, and our own energy. We have a choice. That is the point. That is the point also of tomorrow. We have a choice. The future of Europe has not been written yet. It is not something we inherit from our founding fathers. It would be reassuring, maybe, but it wouldn't be fair. The people of Europe have a choice, and we all have a choice to make and a great responsibility. And I trust our political family to exercise that responsibility, so to make the European Union of tomorrow, 60 years from now, as great as it has been for these 60 years, changing all the things that today don't work, focusing on them without saying that all we have built in 60 years is to change, because we have excellent things that were done by our founding fathers and mothers, by the generations that built Europe before us, and we have a responsibility to move that work forward. Thank you. Thank you.